Next Sunday is the Solemnity of Christ the King, and that's the last Sunday of this church year. The following Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent, and that ushers a new church year. And every year during this time, towards the end of the year and the beginning of Advent, at least for 1 or 2 Sundays, our readings and our gospel passages come from those parts of the gospel or the Bible that are called apocalyptic literature. They talk about the end times, as we heard today, whether in the first reading from the prophet Daniel or in the gospel. And some of our Protestant brothers and sisters see this as mainly signs to let us know when Jesus will come again. And once in a while we hear a group of people saying, this is it, the end going to be in 2000, or it's going to be in 2010, because this happened, and it says so in the Bible. Our Catholic understanding of these sections of the Bible, or these books of the Bible, is that yes, we believe Jesus will come again, but those are not meant for us to know when will he come and to predict when he will come. Because as we heard Jesus saying, no one knows the day or the hour. But Jesus comes to us throughout our life in different ways. The end of the world for each one of us is when we die. That's the end for us. Who cares when the end, the whole universe will come to an end? And those God passages or gospel passages and books were written to the Jewish people or to the early Christians when they were going through a time of tribulation, when they were being persecuted, to help them to endure that period that seemed to them that the whole world, their world at least, is falling apart. And today Jesus tells us, learn a lesson from the fig tree. If Jesus was living today in Southern California and what's been happening the last couple of weeks, he probably would have said, learn a lesson from paradise. And I'm not talking about paradise as in heaven paradise, but about the town of paradise that was burned down by the fires. Learn a lesson from paradise. What can we learn from the tragic event in paradise? Well, one thing we can learn from it is kind of like Jesus said, those catastrophic moments, those tragic events that happen in our life, whether individually or as a group, as a community, no one can predict. At some point, life in paradise was as normal. People were doing whatever they do at that time every day. Nobody knew there's going to be a catastrophic day for them and their community. Today there's a great article in the LA Times talks about how the fire started and how it spread. It was like in minutes. Some people didn't have more than a couple of minutes to just evacuate and get in their cars. It comes as a thief in the night, like Jesus tells us in other gospel passages. We don't know. We have to be prepared. It can happen anytime. That's what paradise teaches us. If we don't know when it will happen, that means we have to be always prepared. As you know, California is earthquake prone. We don't know when an earthquake is going to take place. But when it happens, if we're not prepared, we don't have time. We have to be ready. We have to be prepared. That's one of the messages of those readings. Is be awake, be prepared, be ready, because you do not know the time or the place. Another thing we can learn from paradise is the name of that town, Paradise. Some of the people who lived in paradise were retirees or people who want to get away from the stresses of the city to live a more, slow-paced life, to enjoy life. To them, in a way, it was kind of that paradise. But what we learned again, that there is no such thing as paradise, as our refuge from the rest of the world where we can live in peace and have a good and happy life anywhere in this world. Because no matter what it is, whether it's called paradise or not, everything in this world can come to an end. It's not real. It doesn't last forever. That vision, that desire that all of us will have to live a long life, a happy life, not to worry, not to be stressed out, is never going to happen in this world, because nothing in this world is immortal. Everything in this world one day will come to an end. And yet we put so much effort and we focus ourselves on creating such a place, creating heaven on earth. Because we can do it ourselves. We don't need God. We don't have to depend on God. We don't need to be humble to recognize, no, we can't. We need God for it. The only true paradise is being in God's presence. When we're in God's presence, then it is paradise. Then we'll have that peace that we long for. Then we have that joy that we desire. Then we have that eternal life that God gives to us. Heaven is not a place on earth, whether it's called paradise or any other name. Heaven, paradise is with God. And that's what we need to be focused on. That's why we started this month of November with All Saints Day and All Souls Day, to remind us is that there is something after this life. The other thing we can learn from paradise, Jesus talks about in the midst of this tribulations, in the midst of this upheaval, there comes the Son of Man. And obviously, from the Old Testament, the early Christians saw that Son of Man to be Jesus, the Savior. But also the title Son of Man, it only means someone in a human form, in a human shape. In the midst of these tribulations, Jesus tells us, don't give up. Have hope, because He hasn't abandoned us. He will come to us in these times more than any other time, if we turn to Him. If we do what He taught us to do. And a lot of times we think when we're going through this tribulation, where is God? Why didn't God do something about it? Well, God is there to give us the strength we need, to guide us in these difficult times, to help us to move forward. You say, where was God in paradise? Well, God was there in the firefighters who saved many lives. God was there as we begin to hear the stories. It was one on the news this morning about, when they evacuated one of the hospitals, this nurse and another lady who just gave birth. They couldn't go anywhere, and suddenly they see this house and they go there, and that house sheltered them from the fire. Everything around that house burned, except that house. We could look at it and say, well, that's coincidence. But as people of faith, we see it as Christ being there through the people that He put in this world through us. When we live our commandment to love God and love our neighbor, when we're willing to give of ourselves, to sacrifice of ourselves for the sake of others, that's Christ coming to in those moments, in those times, to those people who are going through the difficult times. In the outpouring of prayers, the outpouring of support to help those who lost their homes as we go through this week of Thanksgiving, providing shelter, providing food, providing money. That's all Christ coming to them in these times of need. Yes, it's not miraculous, but Jesus is not going to come flying on a cloud, but He has all of us to be Christ to others, to give Him hope, to give them strength, to remind them that one way everything they lost will be returned to them 100 times more if they remain faithful. The other thing we learn from paradise or any other place where, natural disasters happen is the people right away begin to talk about rebuilding. I mean, you think of it, why would, if you lived in Miami and, Florida on the coast and the hurricane comes in, you lost your home, why would you want to go back and build on that same spot that's a few feet away from the ocean? And yet we have that resilience, that love for life that we want to rebuild. Despite the difficulties, despite, what we went through. And people already are talking about rebuilding in paradise. Because we are created in God's image. We are people of life. We have that desire in us. We want to have eternal love. We want to live forever, live happily ever after. But if nothing in this world going to last ever and forever after, or going to provide us that happiness always and every day, that means those desires that we have will never be fulfilled. And that's not a happy end of the story. God tells us, no, these desires are given to you to help us to focus on another life, something beyond this world, where every desire of eternal life, peace, joy will be fulfilled in God's presence. It's not about this world, because this world can never satisfy that emptiness that we have in our hearts. Only God can. And that's why we want to rebuild. That's why we want to start over. That's why we have that resiliency not to give up. Because through this, God hopes that this motivation that we have will move us forward to one day seek heaven and be with God in heaven. All of these things that we see around us in life is what Jesus taught and lived in his own life. At the end of times, for us as Catholics, we don't believe that everything will be destroyed. And that's the end of it. No, because God created this beautiful universe and God said, it is good. God did not create so he can one day destroy everything. But what we learn from the fig tree, what we learn from paradise, what we learn from nature outside, is it's a cycle of death and resurrection. Death and life that follow each other, and it moves forward to better and bigger things and happier things. It's a movement that we're on that's getting us somewhere, not just we're running around in circles in our place. Our life will be sad and meaningless if that's what it's all about, no matter what we do at the end, and we're going to die and we're going to lose everything. God tells us a different story. God tells us that no, a life despite its tribulation, despite its difficulties, despite its blessings, always moves us forward to a better plan, to a better place that he has prepared for us. A real paradise to be with him in heaven. Finally, what we can learn from paradise is to be grateful and thankful to God. There is no reason why it was paradise and not La Cañada. And yet today we all woke up in our homes. We all have our family and friends around us. We're going to gather on Thanksgiving Day. Let's remember those things that many times we take for granted. Because they're not secured for us. We don't know what day or what time or hour will lose the things that we have and value the most. So we have to be grateful for them. It doesn't have to be that I won the lottery or got a promotion at work or I got accepted in college. But the basic things of life that God blesses us with every moment of each day. Let's remember to be grateful for them on Thanksgiving. It's been a tough few months for us, whether with the fires in California, those in Paradise, those in Thousand Oaks, and Westlake Village, Malibu. whether with the shooting in the bar in Thousand Oaks, whether what's happening in the church, whether what's the results of our elections last week. And when we come together at Thanksgiving, it's very easy to get into that kind of negative, environment, everybody complaining of everything that's happening. Jesus today is asking each one of us to be that Son of Man that will bring hope, that will remind everyone that's life. Jesus told us to expect these things. These things will continue to happen because it's not a perfect world, because we are not perfect people yet. But what he tells us to do is not to give up, not to lose hope, not to turn to negative responses to these things by being more combative, by being less patient, more angry, and want to, fight everyone. But to have hope that Christ will break through the darkness, that will emerge maybe a better town in paradise, a better country, a better church. That's the cycle of life that Jesus invites us to participate in and to be part of. We are not on the downward slope, moving towards destruction. We are on a journey to the top of the mountain. We will find Christ and our Heavenly Father and live in the one and only true paradise for all eternity.